This video is going to show two new instructions that we have. One is called cycle along a curve, and the second is called cycle on center. And both of these are in the category of can cycle cutting. And what this means is that both of these instructions call these can cycles that we have that are part of the direct toolpath programming system. Okay, so things like peck drill, pocket, circular pocket, bore for like boring a cylinder bore or whatever, tap, thread mill, that sort of thing. Okay, and we have two of them because they're used for cutting kind of different patterns. The simpler one is cycle on center. So let's just go ahead and show what that does. Let's make a new sketch, and then we're just going to create a circle. And we'll just put one right here, and we'll go ahead and put another one up here, another one over here. Okay, so just a few circles. And these, of course, can come from a step file from importing the 3D CAD model, or any way that you get geometry over here. So let's insert a cycle on center, and then we have a normal chain selection page, and then you can just click off your different locations. So for cycle on center, you need a circle or an arc or a point or anything that you can get a center point, or you can extract a center point from. And then what we'll do is we'll insert a peck drill followed by a thread mill instruction. Okay, oops, sorry about this. This only allows you to add one at a time. So we first want to insert a peck drill instruction, and then we'll insert a thread mill instruction. Okay, so what this basically says is that it's going to go to these three locations and perform these two operations on each of these locations. So let's go over here, and for our drill, let's pick that. And then the thread mill, we're going to pick, well, I don't really have a thread mill set up here, so we're just going to pick this one. Actually, let's pick a smaller diameter one. Okay. Okay, so let's comment out the thread mill to start here. So we have just a peck drill at each of these locations, and of course, we can change the depth, and it updates all three locations. Yeah, and we have to pick our tool and all that. So now let's go ahead and go to thread mill, and we have, you know, the default settings are like really big thread cutting diameters. So let's just go ahead and make this something small, something like 1/4 of an inch. So now it kind of looks normal. It looks like it's inside of the holes. And our depth, let's go ahead and do -1 inch. So you can see this is just one of many operations that you can perform on each of these locations. So let's just say another common one is going to be a boring instruction. Let's go ahead and insert a boring instruction. And this is you know, actually somewhat similar to a peck drill, except it doesn't peck, it just goes all the way down to the bottom. But then once it gets down to the bottom, it has the ability to index a spindle and then move the X over a certain amount. So let's just say we want to go over 0.01 10,000ths of an inch, and then it'll come out so your cutter doesn't drag on the side of the wall. Okay, so yeah, so that shows that. So let's go ahead and comment this out, and let's get rid of our circles and put in a different type of CAD drawing here. So let's do create a couple of lines. We'll just do a line right there to there, and from there to there, something like this. Okay. And let's just say for this purpose here, for this video, that this represents like a small diameter slot, okay, and a small width slot. And those are you know, really hard to cut because it's hard to do a high-speed machining routine in there because there's a lot of machine movement. It's also hard to just go straight down the center and just do a full depth cut for any tool, whether it's big or small. So our idea here is that using cut along a curve, that we can pre-rough this out by drilling locations along that curve. Okay, so there may be other applications, but that's kind of the intended use of this. So let's insert a peck drill, and then the chain, we'll just click on our chain here, Now you can see it's going to go through and just drill locations along this curve here. So you first might want to center drill it. In that case, you would just insert two peck drill instructions. The first would be the center drill. The second would be the actual drill. Okay, and then you would obviously have to go through and profile finish this. So another issue is typically you wouldn't have a profile. You'd want to cut on the center, so you have kind of a profile on the inside and on the outside. So we would have to do an XY offset. Let's just say we have 400 thousandths width cut, or width slot, so we want to go half of that, so 200 thousandths. And so that's the wrong way. We can go negative or positive. Okay. And this is the point spacing. So let's just say that that's too close together. Change it to 1/4 of an inch, and it spaces the points farther apart. Another feature that I'm not sure is useful, but I can see how if you just go, drill this hole, then drill this one, then drill this one, if you're drilling, they might tend to kind of walk towards the previous hole here. So what I have is a stagger option. So before we do that, let's just kind of run through this. You can see what it's doing. It's just going to go down each location and drill it, right? So if I turn on the stagger option, it will go to the first one and then the third one, and so it's kind of skipping every other one, right? And then once it completes doing all of the odd locations, it'll go back and then do the even locations. Okay, so I'm not sure if that's useful or not, but I think that this will probably reduce the walking of the drill if it's an issue. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thanks.